drive home. So I was just trying out Ass here in my work's parking lot, and it's it was kind of funny. It comes out here from the parking lot. It came out of there and it went around to this road, and as soon as it gets on to the road, it just stops the car and it says cannot use on a public road. Which of course then it's sitting there blocking traffic, so I gotta run out from the building and jump in the car. But I was doing it to show somebody out at work, so he got a kick out of it. But yeah, Ass is definitely better than no Ass. The old dumb summon was very laggy. It took forever to connect. It wouldn't work very well, and there was no cameras. The new smart summon Ass is pretty quick to respond, and having access to the cameras is a pretty nice feature, so you can monitor what the car is doing without having it in your sight the whole time. Gives you a little peace of mind. So, drive back home is gonna be 40 miles, about an hour long, give or take with traffic. Full self-drive is engaged and is gonna run right through its first red light. Way to ignore the fuck out of that one. Report bug, red light. Yeah, I thought this was actually pretty good at stopping for any red lights, yellow lights, until this latest software release. I was driving last night in kind of dark, rainy conditions, and it drove through a light that was changing, or that had already turned yellow. Had plenty of time to stop. It didn't. I saw there was no cross traffic at all, so I decided to play a game of chicken and see if it was actually going to stop for the light once it changed red. It did not. It drove right through the fucker. So that was a bit concerning. I did a bug report yesterday. I think I caught that one on video, so I'll be uploading that tonight once I get around to pulling off the footage and going through it. But yeah, this last one was unexpected. I really thought it was just going to slam on the brakes at the last minute. The light was as red as it could be, and no visibility issues whatsoever. And the car drove straight the fuck through it. Normally something that I would have taken over and hit the brakes, but I was curious as to what was actually going to happen, if it was going to stop at the last minute or if it was actually going to run the light, and it ran the light. It's software V12 2024.27.25, full self-drive, V12 5.4, which gives it ass, but it makes it apparently dumb for realizing what the heck red lights mean. So when you get ass, be careful, because you might not be paying attention to the red lights anymore. So this merge, I don't like how it always waits until the last minute to throw you in the lane. And it very rarely will put the turn signal on to merge. That's a pretty common occurrence there.
say about you is sure to trigger Kamala Harris's opponent, Donald Trump. But I want to hear from you. What parts of this will resonate with the kinds of voters she still needs to move into her column ahead of November?
Well, the big question, obviously, is the economy. And, you know, the people on the right, they're always talking about being a market.
Emerging technologies. Expand our lead in clean energy innovation and manufacturing. The next generation of breakthroughs, from advanced batteries to geothermal to advanced nuclear, are not just invented, but built here in America by American workers. And we will invest in the industries that, for example, made Pittsburgh the Steel City by offering tax credits for expanding good union jobs in steel and iron and manufacturing communities like here in Mon Valley. And across all these industries of the future, we will prioritize investments for strengthening factory towns. This is so important. For strengthening factory towns, retooling existing factories, hiring locally, and working with unions, because no one who grows up in America's greatest industrial or agricultural centers should be abandoned. And understand what that means for real people, people we know, people we care about. We don't have to abandon a strength we've known to achieve a strength that we plan. And here's what else we will do when I'm president. We will double the number of registered apprenticeships by the end of my first term. Because I almost made it a goal of mine. I think I am going to fall short, but trying to visit every IBEW local in America, because I'm going to tell you, those apprenticeship programs, those are tough duty, man. And women and everyone. They're tough duty. I mean, talk about the skills that are about engineering and science and math and just the
Watch
most
out.
highly
Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
folks were in those apprenticeships and teaching there. And so one of the things we must do, understanding that and understanding the nature of that part of our educational system, is let's eliminate degree requirements while increasing skills development. And let's start with something I can do as president, was ensure that we do that for the 500,000 of federal jobs that are within our ability to make it so. Showing what is possible and then challenging the private sector to make a similar commitment to emphasizing skills and not just degrees. And we will reform our tax laws to make it easier for businesses to let workers share in their company's success. And I will challenge the private sector to do more, to lift up workers through equity, profits, and benefits, so more people can share in America's success and prosperity. And not only must we build the industries of the future in America, we must also build them faster. You know, there's a time for patience, and there's a time for impatience. That's not in Ecclesiastics, but swap script for a minute, Mayor. But the simple truth is, in America, it takes too long and it costs too much to build. Whether it's a new housing development, a new factory, or a new bridge, projects take too long to go from concept to reality. It happens in blue states, it happens in red states. And it's a national problem. And I will tell you this, China is not moving slowly. They're not. And we can't afford to either. If we are to compete, we can't afford to either. As President, if things are not moving quickly, I will demand to know why, and I will act. I will work with Congress, workers and businesses, cities and states, community groups and local leaders to reform permitting, to cut red tape, and get things moving faster. Because, look, as I said, patience may be a virtue, but not when it comes to job creation or America's competitiveness. Many of you know the Empire State Building. You know how long it took to build it? 1 year. The Pentagon, you know how long that took? 16 months. No one can tell me we can't build quickly in our country. I've got empirical evidence. Now look, my opponent, Donald Trump, well, he makes big promises on manufacturing. Just yesterday, he went out and promised to bring back manufacturing jobs. And if that sounds familiar, it should. In 2016, he went out and made that very same promise about the Carrier plant in Indianapolis. You'll remember, Carrier then offshored hundreds of jobs to Mexico under his watch. And it wasn't just there. On Trump's watch, offshoring went up and manufacturing jobs went down across our country and across our economy. All told, almost 200,000 manufacturing jobs were lost during his presidency, starting before the pandemic hit, making Trump one of the biggest losers ever on manufacturing. Donald Trump also talked a big game on our trade deficit with China. But it is far lower under our watch than any year of his administration. While he constantly got played by China, I will never hesitate to take swift and strong measures when China undermines the rules of the road at the expense of our workers, our communities, and our companies, whether it's flooding the market with steel, inferior, or at all, unfairly subsidizing shipbuilding, or hurting our small businesses with counterfeits. Recall, Donald Trump actually shipped advanced semiconductor chips to China, which helps them upgrade their military. Understand the impact of these so-called policies that really are not about a plan for strengthening our prosperity or our security. I will never sell out America to our competitors or adversaries. Never. Never. And I will always make sure we have the strongest economy and the most lethal fighting force anywhere in the world.
There's a history of crashes for the next 0.5 miles. Drive safe.
So at this pivotal moment, we have an extraordinary opportunity to chart a new way forward. One that positions the United States of America and all of us who are blessed to call this home for success and prosperity in the 21st century. You know, there's an old saying that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Well, that is the story of the Steel City. That is the story of the Steel City. The city that helped build the middle class, birth America's labor movement, empower the rise of American manufacturing, and the city where Alan Newell and Herbert Simon launched the first AI research hub at Carnegie Mellon. center in America. So the proud heritage of Pittsburgh, I so strongly believe, reveals the character of our nation. A nation that harnesses the ambitions, the dreams, and the aspirations of our people. Seizes the opportunities before us because we see them, because we believe in them, and then invents the future. That is what we have always done. And that is what we must now do. And I know we will. I thank you all for inviting me. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America.
What? So you gonna stop? Yep. We stopped. Okay.
Hi there, everyone. It's a little after 4 p.m. in New York. You've been listening to Vice President Kamala Harris back on the campaign trail, delivering a rousing speech, laying out her plans for the economy, contrasting them to Donald Trump's record on the economy, something sure to elicit a quick response from him. She called him, quote, the biggest loser ever on manufacturing. Speaking in Pittsburgh, Vice President Harris making the case for a set of policies designed to lift up the middle class, aligning herself with America's workers, America's unions. She described herself in the context of her values and how she approaches these issues, calling herself a pragmatist and a capitalist, not driven by ideology. Her next stop is a sit-down interview with our friend and colleague Stephanie Rule for an MSNBC exclusive. We'll have more on that when Stephanie joins us in the next hour of the program. In Pittsburgh with the Vice President, one of her most high-profile and effective supporters, a Pittsburgh native, a businessman, an investor who has been sounding the alarm on the chaos Donald Trump would create for our economy should he be reelected. And he's been making a case that Vice President Harris is the moderate in this race, the steady hand on the tiller. And the ex-president, Donald Trump, is the radical, unpredictable one. The cherry on top in terms of triggering Trump is that he's also a very successful television star in his own right, one of the original sharks on Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah, we gotta go around this guy.
So we're talking about Mark Cuban, who will join us in a few minutes. To start off, though, let's bring in MSNBC. She didn't miss an opportunity to exert her strength and competence on the economy as commander-in-chief. She had that line in there near the end about...
All right, so that was a definite intervention just because I did not want to be the one blocking traffic there much longer.
Trump, they were not the bulk of this speech, but they were sharp, specific, direct, and fact-based.
No, but they were, and I think she accomplished something that I've been picking up in data across the country that I think is important, is that, you know, it's still about introducing her and letting voters understand, you know, who she is and who she's fighting for. Like, you know, we as political, you know, long-term political hacks, we know voters aren't sitting around with their notepad going, oh, her point 7 of her 12-point economic plan, I don't agree with because I don't think she can do it. That's not how voters work. I think what she did today was lean into how she's on the side of the American worker, how she believes that American worker is exceptional and is that exceptional spirit that we've got to lean into and tap into, how we've got to award the hard work of the American worker, how we got to look out for the person who built the skyscraper, not so much the person who owns the skyscraper and the people who are cleaning the skyscraper. I think she put herself clearly and soundly on the side of working Americans, and I think any working American who sees excerpts of this speech will see that and understand that and trust her more today than they did before hearing this speech.
You know, Matt Dowd, anyone that worked on a campaign with me knows that my favorite movie, as much as I adore every Aaron Sorkin script, is Dave. For the purpose of what she just did, he sits down at the cabinet meeting and says, budget smudge it. And I may or may not have quoted him once or twice in the West Wing. Why can't we take, a couple million from commerce and give it to Treasury and then take a couple million, you know, and pay for the jobs program. I mean, her point about how long it took to build the Empire State Building, 1 year, how long it took to build the Pentagon, 16 months, and her question, like, why does it take so long to build things in America? I'm going to fix that. Puts her straight on the side of common sense, fixing things that confound just about all of us.
Yeah, I'm with you also. I love that movie, Dave. I also love when he calls in his accountant friend into the White House to work it out because he doesn't trust anybody else around to do that in there. I mean, I think it's such a powerful
crazy. I love that, David. We'll find it. We'll find it.
Nobody can. Is this legal? Is this legal?
This speech had something.
All right, so I'm going to take over here to get this thing to take a different route because it's always gets into the right lane here because it wants to take I-75 instead of this, which is generally much better traffic-wise. Maybe I should take that back about this being much better traffic-wise. Alright, so I would put the turn signal on here. It doesn't.